Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show on this Wednesday. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you very much for joining us. You can interact with us on Facebook and give us your thoughts on any issue regarding your favourite team or anything else that's bugging you in Scottish football. Joining me tonight on the show, Alan Ruff, as ever, my sidekick, with Barry Ferguson on this Wednesday. And here's what we're going to be talking about. Well, I have to be honest with you, this is one of those days where the majority of the stories seem to be dominated by the conduct of supporters. I know Christopher Ayer's been speaking earlier today about the fact that, Scottish football's reputation is being tarnished by the conduct of fans right across the Premiership and beyond, Ruffy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can see now that the clubs are really actively now to be seen to be doing something about it. I think we're now getting near the borderline stuff that we don't want to see happening. We don't want to see a section of the crowds being shut down and all that stuff that goes with that. So now I think the clubs have got an onus upon themselves to do something really about it, not just talk about it and not just say, oh, this is what we're going to do. Let's see you doing it. Let's see you punishing 4 or 6 of your supporters in front of all your other supporters. Let's see what you're going to do to them, take their tickets off them, ban them. And that's the only way before we get to the stage where we start shutting down stadiums.
Yeah, well, the downside to that is, of course, the furore that followed, and rightly so, the bottle thrown at Scott Sinclair. Now, the Hibs Chief Executive, Leanne Dempster, has released a statement, a fairly lengthy one. I'll just quickly give you a little flavour of it here. In our statement on Saturday, we promised to try and identify any supporter involved in the throwing of the bottle onto the pitch, something we simply cannot tolerate. Unfortunately, despite the best efforts of our security personnel, we've been unable to pinpoint the individual. Several supporters have been in touch to try and identify the person responsible, and we are following up on this. And I think, that to be commended for that this incident, the damage to our reputation, has led us to invest further in upgrading our CCTV setup, and full marks to them for that as well. I have to say, though, bearing in mind Leanne investing more money in the CCTV, which I think is the right way ahead, I find it difficult to believe that some fans, even on the day, definitely on the day, can actually pinpoint someone, Barry, because, it's difficult. The Hearts fans who were all congregated in the stand in front of the director's box at the Scottish Cup game, I found it very difficult to believe that anybody would pinpoint somebody who was causing trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, because it looked as if it was just a group of pals. Guys that all been getting together to the games and everything, and your pal's not going to shop on you. It would have to be somebody from out with the 100, 200 people that were in that group that would have to do something about it, and that just shows you how hard that's going to be and how hard it's going to be to prosecute it. Once you get to the court, you'd have to be 100% bomb-proof that you got the right person.
Yeah, I think Leanne has mentioned there that they'll be banned from the stadium and, of course, prosecuted if they have that solid evidence. They've already, Hibs have banned fans who threw flares at the Dundee game as well. But there's no doubt about it. The behaviour, whether it's flares, whether it's throwing coins, whether it's throwing bottles, some of the songs, some of the banners are despicable. The banner against Alfredo Morelos, I wouldn't even bother translating it. I just think people who hold these things up are morons.
Yeah, it's damaging, because I've got to be honest, for the first time in a long time this season, some of the football that's been on show has been high quality. And now the only thing we seem to be talking about is what's happening in the stands, i.e. flares, coins, bottles, banners. sectarianism, singing.
Yeah.
It's
Good
disappointing. So, look, regarding with the Hibs and what Ruffy was saying, what happened at the Partick Thistle game as well, it is going to be hard to identify, because when these people are throwing coins as groups of people, and as Ruffy rightly pointed out, I don't think they're going to shop their friends. That's a disappointing thing, because going back to the Hibs game, I'm disappointed that guy's not been identified. That was ridiculous. That's one of the worst things I've seen. A Buckfast glass bottle getting thrown on. What's it going to take? I keep repeating myself here. Is it going to take for that to smash off somebody's head and then they get took away to hospital and have a serious injury? It's ridiculous what's happening.
Yeah.
I know you're saying, Peter, that it's very difficult now for the security to identify these things, and because it's the ticket system, you go in and there's nobody there. But see, when we went to the big high profile games that came to Hampden, like the cup finals and the women's finals, this is what supporters are going to have to put up with. They're going to have to put up with strict security searches. If people are getting in with these banners, and they're not just sticking them up their jumpers, they're getting in with flares. What's going to happen is people are going to have to take a longer time to get to games, because I think security, the entrance to the game is now, it's essential that we stop these people going into the games with these things.
I hope it doesn't come to closing stadiums, because I feel sorry for the vast majority of fans, Peter, that go to games.
Yeah.
Go there to support their team and watch their team hopefully win a game.
Well, Sandy Howie on Facebook said it's society, not just football fans, and I think Sandy, I agree with you 100% on that. I think there are people now who've got a platform through social media who can actually just highlight, whereas maybe 20, 30 years ago when you guys were playing, the odd percentage of morons were highlighted, or people who break the law. Now you have a platform where they can literally shout the loudest, write something despicable. They know they've got the platform on the television, so they can make a banner up that at some point will be seen. So there's a platform for them to actually be heard and annoy people. And I think across all social media as well, there's a responsibility which the companies who own these platforms are taking action on. But with football, I think we're sinking lower and lower at the moment, and I do think with strict liability, there will be eventually, if someone is seriously hurt, I think that's another point, there will suddenly be this outrage. But by that time, it'll be too late, because I think the politicians will get involved, Ruffy, and I think then you will get a stand closed down, you will get a game behind closed doors if we don't clean up our act now.
Yeah, and that's why I said at the beginning, I think now you're seeing the likes of Hibs, Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, everybody coming out saying this is what we're doing, and as long as they're to be seen to be doing something about it, that's great, But I think everybody from the outside now wants to see the punishment. They want to see the punishment. When you go back to the Morelos banner, you don't mind a banner that's humorous, but that isn't. Now, you tell me you can't identify the 10 people who were holding that banner. Yeah, it's so clear. Who they are, so hopefully we are told that the police are actively working behind the scenes. They don't do it at a game, they wait until 4 or 5 days later, they identify who the people are, then they go chapping doors, but we need to see what's happening to them.
Yeah, and off the back of that, we've had politician statements here in Scotland. We've also had this investigation, a report into the policing in Scottish football, which has some serious concerns as well around stadium safety. There's so much to talk about with this. Deputy Chief Constable Mark Roberts compiled the report, and it includes clubs gaining safety certificates without stadium inspections and selling more tickets than the ground capacity, which is another worry. Obviously, the last Old Firm game at Celtic Park, Ruffy, that was a particular worry because of crushing. I think it didn't prompt the investigation, but it certainly didn't help it.
Yeah, it was something. We just cast my mind back to all the disasters that we've had through overcrowding, and it took everybody by surprise. And obviously, they had to do something about that, you know, because the scenes looked absolutely horrendous.
Okay, sometimes on the programme we get bogged down with unsavoury discussions with regards to fan behaviour, but hopefully in the next part we're going to be talking about the beautiful game. Ajax certainly played a beautiful game. They knocked out the Champions League holders in Real Madrid. We'll be talking about that, and we'll also be talking about the forthcoming games domestically here in Scottish football after the quiz. Alan Ruff and Barry Ferguson are with me, Peter Martin. Interesting comments coming from John Kennedy, who says the players are being driven on by, I think, fans' anger over the exit of Brendan Rodgers. I think a number of people actually who play for Celtic found out through the media that he'd gone. I think subsequently he may well have contacted everyone. Life moves on, but if there's something you can latch onto, Ruffy, that inspires you to play better, then I think more power to you.
I honestly, Peter, I've never got my head around that theory. You know, I haven't, been. I mean, I know we talk about things getting pinned up in dressing rooms and that. It's not something I always, if I wasn't trying hard enough before I saw it, then there was something the matter.
I like that attitude.
You could get a deal with guilty hearts if you keep this up.
I wouldn't like to think that would be the kind of thing that would motivate me before the game, so I'd be focused on the game itself. If that's what he thinks, some of the players, then he's getting a benefit out of it, then fair enough.
I honestly don't think much will change. I honestly don't. I don't think the players will be too concerned because, as I said last week in the programme, I think they've got the right guy in to replace him. Yeah. The guy knows the club inside out. He's a demanding guy. And he's a winner. Yeah. Because he's won things in his career, not only as a player but also as a manager.
Yeah. Do you think he'll get it full time?
Yep. I don't see who they would give it to. Who would they give it to?
They're talking about looking at maybe even the Leipzig manager coming in. I mean, there are odds on a number of people. I mean, David Moyes' name has been touted down south, but I think Lenny's in the box seat. Whether he has to win the remaining one or two trophies is open to debate. The funny thing is, and I have to mention this to you, Ruffy, I thought Gordon Strachan, one of our former guests, summed it up beautifully, saying the reason why the Celtic fans are miffed with Brendan Rodgers, it's like telling someone that you love them, that you want to be with them forever. They're so special. I really love you. And then you go, oh, wait a minute, there's somebody over there I quite fancy, see you later, bang. It was the best way to sum it up. Nothing like a fan spurned.
Yeah, that's why one of the biggest things you particularly play on is players kissing a badge when they score a goal, as if they've been lifelong supporters, and then they're away at the end of the season, So, no, I think the real supporters know the people who want to actually be at the club, and they're the ones that they want.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I know Mark Wilson was mentioning it at a promotional event yesterday, saying that regardless of who the manager is, I think most people will look and take their anger out on the board if they don't fund Celtic to try and get 10 in a row. It seems to be an obsession now. It's almost as if 7 or 8 titles will mean nothing if they don't get to 10.
Look, it's clear that they do need a bit more quality in the squad, but so does every single team.
Yeah.
Rangers will need the same in the summer. Celtic will need Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, so you can get through every single team. That's normal. I think any fans will be frustrated if the board doesn't back the manager in transfer windows.
Yeah, could be some hefty money spent this summer, as people try to either stop 10 or indeed further their own ambitions, Ruffy. I just hope they don't go down a road where, certain clubs start to spend more than they've got. That's a road we don't want to go back down for everyone in the Premiership.
No, I think they've all learned their lesson with that one. The likes of Aberdeen and Hibs and Hearts are now bringing players in and basically looking at the wage structure and everything. That we always say about Celtic. I mean, Celtic have got the box seat. They've got players there that they can sell on for lots of money. You know, if there's anybody going to be bringing in £4 and £5 million players, you would think it would be Celtic if that's what they want to do.
Yep. Thanks very much to everyone who obviously is getting involved with us, giving us some of their messages on Facebook. And Neil O'Gormley has continued our quest for Ruffy's fashion, saying, is Ruffy's jumper in for its monthly wash? Because he's changed his gear.
I said to you before, I'm going to bring them in. I have to bring them in.
Bring the two jumpers in.
Let you know that I have got more than one.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy Patterson says having plainclothes police in various areas of the stadium might be a good idea. That'd be a good idea, Barry.
Very good idea. I think that's a good comment for the game.
Yeah, Thomas McKenna mentioned Marco Rose, who RB Leipzig could be, one of those guys in the running for Celtic. I tend to think that Neil Lennon's in that box seat and will be the next Celtic manager long term. I think he could get 2 or 3 years. So, Scottish Cup replay. Ruffy's got one to look forward to. It's Aberdeen heading to Ibrox. There's only 972 Aberdeen fans. Obviously, they've discussed it with police, thinking about safety, and that's all they're going to take.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to make a difference, if I'm being honest, Peter. I think Rangers really need to win that game. It'll not come down to how many Aberdeen fans are there or how many Rangers fans. The Rangers team just need to concentrate on getting into that semi-final. Because it's a massive semi-final. Oh, yeah. Let's be honest, that's what you want to play in these sort of games. Are
you going to go with your mates too, or are you going to go with Ruffy and myself to the semi-final if Rangers get through? Will you?
I thought you were my mates. No,
not on that day. No, we'll take you with us. Ruffy, get those 2 red dresses out, will you? The blonde
hats.
I mean, it's a mouth-watering one. It's the first chance to get thoughts on the draw.
If I'm in that Rangers team now, there's only going to be one outcome against Aberdeen. And a few Aberdeen fans have made comments in the press about they're not scared of coming down to play against Rangers, or Aberdeen are well equipped or better. Well, there's enough said. Go and win the game, Rangers.
Yeah. I like that attitude from players. I don't know about you, Barry. I like that attitude from players because that's the way Aberdeen used to have that attitude. You've got to back it up.
They used to have it
when they would come down to Celtic and Rangers and batter them.
Yeah, there's always. I mean, Barry's been with Rangers, but if you're in a team that goes to Parkhead or Ibrox and gets a result or gets a draw or gets a win, the fear factor does go out the window a wee bit because you know what you're going to expect and you have the reasoning behind, look, this is how we won the last time. But as you're saying, you don't talk about it, just get out and do it.
I'm siding with Ruffy in that. Like, I'd rather things are kept at times.
Yeah.
I know Ruffy says he doesn't buy into putting stuff up, but if I'm reading that, but I think it was Low.
Max Lowe. Yeah.
I'll be reading that and saying, right, no problem, I'll see you next week and see what happens.
Yeah. So I'd like him. He's my type of player in the five-a-side, Ruffy. You know what I mean? If he could only play tennis, I'd dump you in a second. That kind of aggressive. I love his nature.
Any yellow, red cards at tennis.
I'm sure they'd come up with them for us too. Listen, talking of, Hearts. Partick Thistle, the replay, which is financially brilliant for Thistle. Obviously, you'd still have ambitions of trying to get there. I still think you've got a chance because, Naismith looks as if he's out for the season. I think we'll find out this week, the extent of that scan on his knee. I certainly hope he's not because, for me, you're talking about Barry's qualities. I'd have Naismith in my 5-a-side, my 11-a-side team every day of the week. He makes Hearts tick.
Yeah, we said on the night when we were watching it, the big boy up front, if he had somebody like Naismith run about him, the old little and large sort of a theory, they would have caused us more problems. There's no doubt about that. But if he's not going to be there, that's a bonus for everybody else.
It's not just what he brings in a football sense as well. When he's on that part, he's a proper leader, is he?
Yeah.
He knows the game inside out. You know what I mean? So I think he's watching Hearts. He's massive. If he's going about for the rest of the season, I'm sure Craig Levine's going to be a worried manager.
Yeah. Hugh Miller says, hello, great to have you watching the programme, Hugh. Jordan Sanderson says, we need somebody like Barry in the squad again. So, it's a lot of Rangers fans. Remember your qualities. A lot of older ones. Let's talk, just before we finish, about last night's Champions League, Ruffy. Harry Kane finishes off Borussia Dortmund, but I decided to watch Real Madrid against Ajax, and it was just going back to the Ajax of old. It was superb. Incidentally, they've got the same budget or near enough as Celtic and they destroyed Real Madrid.
Yeah, well, I never seen the game because I was training, but I seen it when I came in. I seen the highlights. For any team to go to the holders and go to the Bernabeu and come away with a 4-1 win, they deserve major credit. But some of the players, you know, I'm a big football fan and I know some of them, but a lot of them will not be well-known names. But there's some fantastic football players in.
I mean,
that
De
Ajax
Jong
team.
was fantastic, but Tadic, you know, he was just outrageous. His left foot, the goal that he scored, I thought it was a wee bit too long on the VAR, Ruffy, to decide whether it was a goal or not. But other than that, I mean, thumped them.
Yeah, well, they ripped up their academy, you know, when things weren't going well, and they started again from scratch. Now, I think that's about 6 or 7 years ago, but they've persevered with it, and now they've got players coming through, players that are now playing in the national side as well, so that obviously helps the club.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an absolute joy to watch the football they played last night. And of course, the end of an era. Always difficult when you lose 40, 50 goals in a season from Ronaldo. He knew when to get out, and so did Zinedine Zidane. I'm going to leave you with this final thought, and I think it's brilliantly summed up by William Wright. He says, can you imagine Ruffy was a plainclothes policeman? Because he wears the same gear all the time, he'd be easy to pick out in the stands. You just spot his favourite jumper and you think, oh, there's Ruffy, I better behave here. Anyway, thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Barry, thanks to you for watching the programme.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.